Good afternoon, Tom Ginn. Own Your Own Health. We'll be right back. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Hey, the whole purpose of Own Your Own Health is all about bringing a new level of awareness about taking ownership of your health. And today I'm really excited to bring in a guest that I saw in an interview with one of my colleagues, Ken Walls, Dr. Randi Shannon, and what she was talking about, some of the things that she does with her practice. I said people need to know about what she's teaching. So today I'm really excited to bring Dr. Randi Shannon in, a naturopathic doctor. She'll explain what that is in relationship to what we're accustomed to in the health arena. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring Randi in. You ready?
Thank you so much for having me on. And gosh, I'm just really excited to get to a whole nother crowd of people that maybe hasn't heard me or hasn't heard what I speak about and what I do. And if everybody knew what I know, nobody would need the MDs, really, emergencies only,
Right.
because we would all be so healthy.
Exactly.
So,
So share with everybody a little bit about where you're at. You're in Florida, I believe.
I am.
A little bit about your background. I always believe that the why is important, your story about why you do what you do and what you do differently than other practitioners in your space as well. So I'm going to just turn it over to you, and I will have some pointed questions as we go through this today. So
okay, sounds good.
It's all yours, Randi.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the listeners that are on here and the ones that will hear this in the future when we're not live. But my name is Randi Shannon, and I am a naturopathic doctor. And, we're a rare breed. But then when you take what I do on top of that, it just puts me in a whole nother, area. But the thing is everyone should know this. So my expertise is I look at the face, the fingernails, and the tongue, and other marks of concern on the body. And from there, I can see what's going on in the various organs of the body. I can see, for example, if, let's say, the kidney and bladder is in trouble. And can I see exactly what that trouble is? No, there is a back and forth. You're going to tell me things, and I'm going to look, and I'm going to look for the damage that's going on in the body. And then we put together a protocol that actually reverses that damage. So, and it's not me doing it, it's just my knowledge. And then we put that all together, and then we implement that plan. So the body is the one that actually goes to work and does all the healing and the repair and the reversal of whatever's going on. And that's what puts you back at the top of the health. And to understand that, everybody, even from a small age, we all learned about the rings of a tree. And if you cut that tree in half, you'll see if that tree was exposed to fire or pestilence or flood. Well, how are we any different? These are the rings. The tongue is the ring. Okay. The fingernails are the ring. Those are the signs that speak volumes about what's going on all inside. It's really amazing.
I would just like to ask this question of you. When I heard this statement from you, is that in our culture that we look at our Western medicine as the path to go, and anything else is alternative. Could you share a little bit about what you said that flips that around? You said it so beautifully, because I think that would help people understand that what's naturally available, our body, given the right resources, naturally can do some amazing things. Our body's capable of healing and repairing itself. Could you just go ahead and share that statement?
Well, what I do is 5,000-year-old original medicine. And I've been saying this for as long as I've been doing it. We get labeled as alternative. Even all this new AI that's out there, you can go and ask AI a question, and they make it like original medicine that's been around since the dawn of time is the alternative, when in fact we were the real and they are the newbies on the block. They're the alternative. And how can I possibly say that? Well, in 1910, there was a report published, and it was called the Flexner Report. And there was a guy by the name of Abraham Flexner who went around the whole entire country, and he went to all the schools where medicine was being taught, and he looked to see who was prescribing things, etc. And back then it was more naturopathic medicine. It was from the earth. God gave it to us, and man figured out how to put that to use. And so Abraham Flexner, he was funded. It took him 5 years to do this because we didn't have the road system that we have today. So he had to go by stagecoach and horseback, etc., trains. And so when he took that report back to the Carnegies, the Carnegie Corporation, the Carnegies and the Rockefellers all of a sudden started to give free money to all of those medical schools. And so from that point on is when we got in place the medical system that we all know today, the white coats, the stethoscopes, the 8 years of school. And what are they learning in the 8 years of school? They're learning about the body, but not anything that's going to nutritionally save it. There's little bits here and there, but it's potentially less than an hour of teaching. They're being bombarded with pharmaceuticals and pharmaceutical drugs from almost the first day, if not before that, even in the first 4 years of school. And so, you know, they're getting wooed by that industry that, hey, somebody has a high blood pressure issue, you got to give them this. If they have a thyroid issue, you need to give them this. And all of those things are Band-Aids. But what a naturopathic doctor does, one that's good, one that knows their trade, one that knows and is worth their salt, they will give the appropriate nutrients for a person that will help the body heal itself. So, you know, after that happened, they started to call. That was like where naturopathy kind of went off the cliff. And a lot of people, if I say, they say, what do you do? I say, I'm a naturopathic doctor. Oh, what? I always have to repeat myself. And really, I'm the original. What I do is the original. And when I look at the face, fingernails, and tongue, that goes way back to Eastern medicine, which is still in play today. And if it would have been debunked, it could have been debunked, it would have already. And you can't. They still use it. They don't even love Western medicine. So, you know, because we have a lot of death. Number one cause of death is heart-related issues. Number two is cancers. And number three is the medical doctors, you know, screwing things up, whether it's drugs that are not interacting. I took on a new client in this last week, and, you know, she would do really great on my protocol. And then as soon as they would give her the 20 plus prescription drugs, she would just fall off the cliff again and get lethargic, etc. Well, those drugs don't interact well. And, you know, it's criminal that a doctor would give somebody 20 different prescription drugs and not know the answer to that. Sit him down before you take them all and say, do you know how that interacts with this or interacts with this? But the first thing they'll tell you is, don't eat a grapefruit. That's going to mess up your body. Don't eat an orange. That'll mess up your body. And it's insanity. It's insanity running the show right now. It's literal asylum going on in this world.
Well, one of the things that you've probably seen in the challenge is bringing your modality and what our bodies do naturally and bring that to your customers, your clients, your patients, whatever you want to categorize them as, is that the deck has been stacked against us. You know, yes. We can talk about, you know, chiropractors, naturopath doctors, all these, because have you ever read this book?
Politics of Healing. No, I haven't. Looks like a good book, though.
It is. It really talks about breaking down the myths about other modalities that are out there. Mm-hmm. This book alone is written about what the traditional institutional medical world is all about, how they've squashed technologies or professions to protect their own interests. It's Politics and Healing by Daniel Haley. Mm-hmm. This is just strictly cancer. Just one, you mentioned this, second leading cause of death in America is cancer, the C word that people are terrified. We're all impacted by it. We see it on a regular basis, and how they squashed a lot of the different non-toxic methodologies and healthy ways to address those things, and how they've been squashed. And you're probably quite aware of them just by the regulatory requirements that you have to deal with. Keep you handcuffed, what you can say and what you can do. Exactly. So I encourage, this was one of the things that spurred me to set this project, Own Your Own Health, out, is bringing people aware that there's a lot of alternatives. Why aren't we hearing about them? A lot of it is because the big government and the industrial, what I call the industrial complex of medicine, is controlling and protecting their own interests by squashing and keeping good news out of the populace. So I encourage you, this is a factual book of how these things have occurred, just in cancer, some treatments and modalities that have been proven to be very scientifically effective. And why aren't we aware of them? Is because of the powers that we deal with are controlling this industry. So you've probably experienced it from the traditional industry, because share with everybody what a naturopath doctor, you did that already, but in relationship to what can you do and what can't you do with your ND?
Well, okay, so once you have the knowledge, they can't take it away from you. So you have different routes that you can go. If you decide to go into the licensing route, they can pull things away from you and send you to jail if they don't like what you say. So I chose to go a different route. I still have 3 years of schooling. And then on top of that, I worked with 3 trauma ER doctors, 2 doctors of veterinary medicine, a parasitologist, holistic chefs, acupuncturists. So I've worked with all of these people. They don't all love all the prescription drugs either. Most naturopaths do not have the ability to bill insurance. So everyone is always a cash paying client, which is, if people could just wrap their brain around it. If you go to MD Anderson, sure. If you have insurance, they're going to take you in. A friend of mine had cancer, so he called MD Anderson to see what the deal was. They wanted $250,000 up front, or I'm sorry, $50,000 up front, and they were going to cap the insurance out somewhere around the 250 mark. So basically, and I got to put disclaimers out here, whether they're doing this or not, but they medical doctors tend to cap the insurances out to whatever the insurance is going to pay. So if they say, well, we're going to do 33 rounds of chemo, for example, that means that the insurance company said they can bill them for 33 rounds of chemo. Chemo is, on average, don't quote me, somewhere around $12,000 per. They can bill the insurance for about, the insurance will pay them about $9,000. They pulled $4,000 or $5,000 out of their pocket for that. They're profiting quite a bit. Take that times 33, 34, 50, 60, however many that they're doing. A naturopath doesn't do any of that. I got a phone call yesterday from one of my clients who had prostate cancer, pretty severe, had been battling it for over a year before he came to me. Got on my protocol in 3 months. He literally called me yesterday and he said, I've got great news. And I said, well, hold on, let me pull my assistant on. I had no idea what he was going to tell me. But he'd been on my protocol for a few months, not bad. Typically 3 to 5 months is where I see those breakthroughs with cancers. And he was, I'm going to guess, around the 3rd month. And they said that they can't even detect it, undetectable completely. And so this guy's super excited. He's got his life back. He's going to start traveling. I have a lady who just messaged me yesterday, I think it was. I'll pull up. She says, hi, gives her first name. I block out her last. She said, I started your protocol February 7th. I don't ask for these testimonials. People just give them to me. To date, I've lost 12 pounds. My joints don't hurt anymore. I wake up in the morning with no brain fog. All of my food cravings are gone and my curly hair is coming back. And then she described certain things on her fingers, that those are returning, things that we look for that showed something going on in her body. And so she said that those were coming back. So point is I don't ask for those testimonials. People just send them because they're freaking out because they went the medical route and they didn't get an answer. They just got prescribed drug after drug after drug. And, I have a new lady in Colorado battling a really bad cancer. And I'm super hopeful for her. And they immediately wanted to start her on the chemo. She didn't want to do the chemo. She ended up doing one bout of the chemo and came to me and said, I don't want to do this. I want to go the natural route. Can you help me? I said, let's put a plan together. I make no guarantees ever. And I never make a claim that I'm the one healing the body. The protocol does it. The body will recognize those raw materials, and they're very specific to whatever that ailment might be. And what I saw in the analysis, okay? And so whatever organs we see out, that's what we go and really get aggressive on, plus the cancer, okay? So it's whatever they're diagnosed with and what we see on top of that. Because if you say, doctor, I hurt over here, he's going to look over there. He's not going to look in here or here or here and go, oh, okay, you have osteoporosis. Look, you have some internal bleeding. Oh, the liver needs a little bit of support. Oh, I see the spleen. They don't do any of that. They just look over here, okay? And so as a naturopath, we look everywhere. And in what I do in particular, I'm looking at all the organs on the body. And then we go after it with a protocol that's aggressive. And I'm known for that, being very aggressive to get you a great result pretty quickly so that, you don't want to give up on yourself.
Right. And I just want to make a disclaimer here too, is that there's a place for Western medicine. If I break an arm and need surgery,
Yes.
we have the best situation out there. And there is a place for the pharmaceutical in the event there's some severe pain management or those type of things. But the overall picture is there's a lot of things that are occurring in our health that can be preventative if we understand some basic principles. One thing I know through the years being associated with my wife and the holistic or naturopathic approach to ownership of your health is these are the areas that people, if they apply proven modalities or proven protocols that are natural, is a lot of things that go on with people in their health is number one is lack of hydration. Would you agree?
That's a major issue. Yes.
Yeah. And then understanding our nutrition, what our nutrition, our food source doesn't provide what we need. That's why if we look at the curve of chronic illnesses, it's directly in relationship to what's been happening with our food, with the additives and all the GMOs and all the chemicals and stuff. They're direct proportion. As the quality of food goes down, our chronic illness go. Getting people back to understanding how to get good quality nutritional, and then nutrition, the supplements. What's your position on supplements?
Okay, so supplements, every single human being on the planet Earth from this point on has to be doing supplementation because the farmers have figured out that you only need 3 nutrients in the ground to grow a plant. So they will only put in 3 nutrients in the ground. Don't believe me? Go to your local farm type of store and look at the fertilizers there, and they have 3 ingredients, NPK, and that's it. And that will grow the plant. So where's the rest of the nutrient come in? Just magic? No. You have to supplement. So where do you supplement? Well, mine in particular, I didn't put it in my glass here, but I was drinking it earlier. I take very strong supplements and I'm doing it all throughout the day. And, here's the thing. If your doctor looks like hell, then they don't have a clue in what they're talking about, and you should not be taking advice from them. And why do I say that? Well, because, I look at, the average age of a doctor dying is somewhere around 56, 57 years of age. So what does he know about longevity? Nothing. He's not practicing anything. And then when you look at the cravings, let's take a person who you can be skinny and have cravings, you can be obese and have cravings. Doesn't make a difference for. So, for example, if somebody's craving chocolate, the body doesn't want chocolate. It actually wants magnesium. If a body is craving sweets in general, it doesn't really want that fake piece of candy that's full of high fructose corn syrup. You might give it to the body, but the body's then going to go, hey, I'm hungry. An hour later, 2 hours later, and you're going to give it whatever you got. And if it's something that was grown on a factory farm, it's going to have 3 nutrients in it. You might get some vitamins. For example, minerals, plants and animals do not make minerals, but yet they're needed for life. And, vitamins, different things. If you plant a row of corn, say here, row 1, you might get 3 nutrients in that. But if you go over 8, 10, 12 rows, there may not be the same nutrients in that part of the ground in just what's there naturally, because there's no one vein that has it all anywhere in the world. So some of that corn or beets or whatever may grow up with more nutrients than others. Selenium is a good one that I use as an example because I've seen the topographical maps all around the country. That is an essential mineral, meaning we have to have it, and also our bodies do not make it. And it's in abundance in Minnesota and Wisconsin, but it's not here in Florida. So if I plant a head of lettuce here, I'm not going to get selenium. But you do it up in Wisconsin or Minnesota, chances are really good you can hit a vein with selenium in it. It's like picture an ice cream that has like little swirls of chocolate. They're not everywhere. They're just in some parts of that swirl. Okay. And you hope to hit that vein when you're eating that chocolate swirl ice cream, but you may not hit that vein in every single bite. It's the same with planting food. So, when people are craving coffee, they don't really want coffee. Their body isn't saying, hey, give me that coffee. It's saying, I need some phosphorus. I need some sulfur. I need some iron. I definitely need some salt. So if you give the body that, so every day when I wake up, I take a really powerful mineral complex, probably the most powerful that there is. And, it's got over 215 things that I'm taking in the morning, 215 different ingredients. And that's why at age 55, so I'm just a year to 2 years away from where the average medical doctor passes away. And I still have my same blonde hair. This is not dyed. I do not color my hair. I don't have wrinkles on my face. There's no filters on this camera, on this, Zoom type thing that we're using, to my knowledge. So, the body has to have sustenance. So what's my belief on that? Yes, daily. And when people say, oh my gosh, I'm taking 30 things in the morning alone. Yep. Okay. That's okay. We have to quit complaining about things like that, because you're not going to get it eating an orange. You're not going to get it with your toast and bacon. They're putting all kinds of chemicals in the bacon. One of them being nitrates and nitrites. So when that is in the meat, if they're not bragging that it's not in the meat, it's probably in the meat. And that shuts the thyroid's ability off to regulate our body temperatures. So you're married, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does she ever stick her feet underneath of you? It's nice out, but she can't get them warm. Every other part of her is warm, but the feet are cold. She shoves them under you. Oh, you're so warm.
Yeah.
Because her thyroid probably needs some help. And so, look at all these people. It's epidemic levels now where people are on Synthroid and different things because their thyroids just aren't working. And it's because they eat, fried bacon every day of the week or weekends, and it's loaded with nitrates and nitrites.
Also, something that I see is so critical is understanding the importance of exercise. Of course, we know that. Mm-hmm. What do you tell your patients? A lot of people think exercise, it has to be something hard and strenuous and that type of thing. What do you share with your clients how important exercise is in the regimen?
I have a really great video on my YouTube, which is youtube.com/the body can. Why the can, or why the body can, because it can heal itself if it's given the right things. And on there, it's called Dead Athletes Don't don't lie, because the athletes die on average right around age 58. That's the average. So you're talking people that have the best of the best treatments, all the different holistic modalities, etc. Why are they dying around age 58 on average? Because they're chugging along and they're chugging along. And yes, they're getting massage and they're getting the warm baths and the cold baths, the Japanese bath, hot, cold. They're taking some supplementation. They're taking protein shakes. They're taking pre-supplement workout, different products, and they get to eat whatever they want, etc. You think that they got it right, but they don't have it right. And that's why on average they die around age 58. Exercise is important. I exercise every day. I was at the gym last night for an hour, walked 3 miles with weights on and etc. But I don't ask my body to give to me to go walk that 3 miles with all that weight on and not give back to my body. And it doesn't mean come home and get a massage, etc. It means I need to come home and replenish what I just sweated out in about 45 minutes. The car can't drive without gas. It can't run on 8 cylinders if you're only giving it enough to run on 2. And so prior even to what's going on in the world, how people are dying pretty quickly and it's all heart related, that was actually still already happening before. It might be more now, of course, because things have changed, but athletes still dropped of heart issues big time prior to these last couple of years. Myocarditis was always around for athletes, widowmakers. We've heard of people just dribbling the basketball down the court and all of a sudden, boom, they drop dead. We've all heard that. So they're missing very specific nutrients that would have kept them alive. So it does, exercise is important. Absolutely. I'm one of the biggest ones out there. I'm a fanatic about it. I love it, but I give back to my body more than what it is required. And some people also go in scant. Like, if you look at the supplements that are out on the market today, out in the stores, a lot of them come out of China. I don't want them. A lot of them have gluten and they're very toxic to our bodies. The other thing is if you think about, remember One A Day? Remember when that one came out?
Yeah.
They never told anybody, hey, is that for a 75-pound person? Is that for a 500-pound person? They never differentiated. None of these on the market do. They just say daily dose, suggested daily dose 4, suggested daily dose 1. They don't take into, nobody knows, is that for 100 pounds, 200 pounds, 500 pounds? So everybody just takes a really low dose, because if you think about it, FDA levels are low anyway. I don't personally agree with their levels. So that's my opinion. I don't, try to sweat. Everybody has a right to their own opinion, and mine's based on experience. I don't agree with their levels.
Well, it's important for people to hear what you're saying. I just want to thank many people that are coming here, jumping and making. Hi, Sandy. Thanks for jumping on. Tag and share this out with people. The information here could make a big difference in people's lives. So appreciate it. Mark, one of my business associates, thank you for jumping on. Christopher Rausch, thanks much, my friend. These are people that are following us and they're making comments. So we just ask you to share it out. I'm going to ask you, because we had some technical difficulties, I'm going to ask you at some point in the private chat, put your website up and I'll create a banner and a way people can get a hold of you, get some information. So we'll take a moment to do that towards the end.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. You just put it in the chat and I'll create a banner while we're talking. So if it looks like I'm not paying attention, it's because I got to focus on copy and pasting and doing all that good stuff. So I really appreciate what you're saying is that a lot of people don't realize how what's on the label, recommended daily doses, where do they come from? Mm-hmm. And like you say, everybody's different. What Tom Ginn needs for his health is going to be different than somebody else my same age, same weight, because I have a history of whole things of accumulated. the things that we end up getting are never happen overnight. I just recently read this, that a chronic illness has been in the making for an average of about 8 years before it shows up. The symptoms show up. We give it a title, whatever we want to call it, some sort of health conditions we don't like hearing anything about. It's usually in the making. 8 years is so. That's so important. Why we should take proactive measures to push back the clock, because things are going to happen over time anyway. Our bodies do break down. We have genetic dispositions as well. And what we've been doing to our body is compounding and accelerating what I call chronic illnesses. So any comments in and around that? So.
Yeah. Well, I tend to not agree so much with the genetic thing, and I'll give you a reason why. So I hear from people all the time, well, my dad had heart disease, so it runs in our family. His father died of heart disease. And what I say is, no, that's not genetic, but the apple doesn't necessarily fall far from the tree. So dad probably ate certain things that you were raised up in the home, and then you left home and you took those same bad habits with you. If you look at the older relatives, like the great grandparents, they tend to live a little bit longer. They might have been in their 90s or 100s, and they lived a bit of a healthier life. And they could sit down and have a glass of whiskey and it didn't matter. It's because they were eating healthier. So some of the things that people need to remove from the diet, if they go to my website, they can actually get this list. I'm going to give it quickly, but they can go get this list more in detail. And the list is no wheat, barley, rye, or oatmeal, because it destroys the digestive tract. In the small intestine, we have something called villi, which is thousands of these little finger-like, grass-like structures, and they are our absorbers. They pull in all of our nutrients. But if we eat wheat, barley, rye, or oatmeal, even if the oatmeal says it's gluten-free, it's got the evil twin brother gliadin in it, and you don't want it. So when it gets to the small intestine, it mows down those grass-like structures, and now you've just lost everything that absorbed your nutrients. So you could throw all the vitamin C at the body you want, you're not going to absorb maybe 2%. You clean that all up, and then you get on something that doesn't have all the gluten in it, and you will start to absorb now. So, people with Crohn's disease and leaky gut and all of that, when they come to me, I do a full analysis. I see very specific things that will show up. It's not 8 or 9 years for me. For me, it's a matter of days. With what I do with my face, tongue, fingernail analysis, if you ate something bad, I'm going to see it in your tongue within about 3 days. So my clients know, which is really funny, because if they come to me and I do an analysis and then 30 days later they send me photos again and I say, did you stick with the food laws? And if they say, well, that little hesitation already tells me probably not. So I'm looking at the photos. I would already see healing by then. And if I don't see what I'm looking for, I'm going to address it with my clients, and that's the thing about me as a naturopathic doctor. I take a client straight on. I don't leave it up to willy-nilly. If you're not following the protocol or the good and bad food list, I don't even really want you as a client, because I'm not going to get anywhere with you, and I'm not about just taking your money. It's about getting a reversal of whatever your issue is. So it's not 8 or 9 years for me. It's 8 or 9 years for an MD, because he'll be the kind of guy who will say, well, we're kind of watching the spot in your lung. Okay, I'm going to see lung damage instantaneous. Somebody has COVID, or maybe I shouldn't have said that word, but if anybody has, pneumonia, flu, anything, and they took any kind of respiratory damage, I'm going to see it like that. And so then we start working on it. We don't wait for spots on lungs to grow into something that starts with a C. We actually address it head on then. So when somebody died of heart disease and then the next generation dies of heart disease, they didn't fall far from the tree. It's not hereditary. It's not. So Nobody should be eating foods cooked in any oils. No fried foods, no foods cooked in any oils. The oils are all rotten and rancid. Even the things like almond milk, coconut milk, they have rotten and rancid oils in them. If you crack a coconut right now and you eat that oil in the next 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it's great. But when you get beyond that, picture taking a bite out of an apple. In about 15 minutes, it's already starting to turn brown. It's oxidizing. Oils are worse. Imagine an oil 3 months in a bottle and 6 months in a bottle, a year on your shelf. That is absolute toxic sludge to the body. And it's why heart disease, in my opinion, is #1 cause of death. So everybody thinking that they're going to these coffee places and, oh, I'll have this and I'm going to get almond milk or I'm going to get coconut, they're killing themselves. Okay. You're not going in there with a gun to your head. You're going in just slicing the wrist, one new slice every time you go and get it. It's a slower death, but it's still death. And I would see that damage in the mouth in a very specific area. And I know how to address that to help a person to turn that around and undo that damage. That kind of damage takes a long time. I'm talking over a year, sometimes 2 years, 3 years to undo that. But it's very directly related to the heart, very direct. So a blood sugar issue, a blood pressure issue, all of those things are reversible in 3 to 5 months. Cancers can even be that quickly. Let's see, name another one. A gout issue was mentioned earlier. You know, on a gout issue, my main question is did you address the kidneys? And if the answer is no, then I know that we're not doing the right thing, because healthy kidneys remove uric acid from the blood and excrete it in the urine. And unhealthy kidneys do not remove that uric acid. And so it recirculates and it ends up deposited back into the joints. And that's where that pain and agony comes in. So it's so, in my opinion, in my experience, simple to reverse that and make it so that it never comes back. And the good and bad food list is very critical to that. But then there has to be supports in the body that clean all that up. And so that's why my clients get really targeted. And that's why they love me. That's why they keep coming back, which is so fun and amazing for me, because I get all the great stories.
Wonderful. So. Scrolling across the body, thebodycan.com, that's your website?
Yes. Thank
you. And then that 844 number is a phone number if somebody wants to contact you directly?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sure you have a contact page in your website so they can eat.
That is there as well.
Time. Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
So this is really amazing. When I heard your first interview, is that you can take a look at somebody, a picture of their tongue or whatever, and have an understanding what the body's doing or not doing in a healthy manner. Yeah. That's amazing to me. So anybody you work with doesn't have to be somebody local where they have to come into the office. You can work with them like we're talking right now, right?
I do not see anyone in person. Everything is done where people send me photos and then I blow them up on my computers and I do an analysis. I get on the phone with people. There's different types of analysis. One is just a consultation. No, they don't want me to look at pictures. So it's just me, my time talking with them. It's a certain amount of time. Then the other type is, and it's all on that link that you have scrolling. The other one is a tongue analysis only, where I'm just looking at the top and the bottom of the tongue, and we have a conversation about that, and I put together a protocol. So I tell them exactly which organs I see in the tongue. And then the full analysis, it's always for more serious things or people that just want it because they want to know what all is going on in the body, because it's fascinating. So there's different marks that will show up on the body in the fingernails. So the fingernails are included in that one. In the fingernails and the face, as additions, I mean, there's so much more: internal bleeding, osteoporosis, kidney issues, liver issues, hormonal issues. People don't understand the functions of certain organs that we have in the body. For example, if I had to guess on the population, let's just go with America only. And I'm going to say people that are 30 and above. Most every one of them has a spleen issue. They don't know which system that works within, but when there's a spleen issue, that means that the toxins are probably not getting filtered out of the blood. And so it will always show in 2 spots on the body. And so when someone's doing a full analysis, I'll see that and I get a double confirmation if that indeed is what's going on. Well, that's something you definitely want to get cleaned up, because look at all these detoxes are out there, but people are not focusing on that one organ, and it's not getting cleaned up, so the toxins aren't getting filtered out of the blood. So doctors love to remove this, and it should never be removed. Never. I can't think of one instance where it should be removed. And that's another thing. Doctors are just epidemic levels. Hey, let's remove this. Let's remove that. People will go into the hospital with a gallbladder issue, and they get raced into surgery. You got a stone. You have some funky fluid in there. We got to remove that organ. No, you don't. Slow down, calm down, take a deep breath, call Dr. Randi Shannon, and I bet we have the issue reversed within a week. Pain-free, potentially in day 1. So these we don't need to lose those things. Organs matter. We were born with them. We need them.
That's right. They all have a very specific thing to do, but they all work together. So I look forward to talking with you on a personal basis after this as well, based on what I've been going through this last month. So I don't want to do it again. So
No.
I need to know what's really going on, because I have a friend of ours that I reached out to her yesterday. She's a naturopath doctor, but I'm not quite sure what all her modalities and what she does, but definitely open to look at different ways to look at my health and see what's really going on. And because like I shared with you with the gout, not only was the pain unbelievable, and that created some anxiety and depression, because you have to drink. Had to drinking more fluids and such. That created the issue. I had to go to the restroom more frequently, which freaked me out because I knew I'd have to endure that pain to get from point A to point B. And that created a whole different level of anxiety. So it created a whole different, but I came away out of this situation here about a week and a half ago with mental fog and not clarity, some forgetfulness. So I'm just curious what's going on. So I'm just dumping my bucket out there today is I'm totally open to see, because I don't want to go through this again if I could avoid it. And I know it's my responsibility to know what I should be eating or not eating that causes these conditions as well. So,
yeah, I invite everybody to go to the website. All you do is you put in your email, and it within about an hour, it auto generates the good and bad food list to everybody. So that way, the whole world can be healed. Share it with everyone, and there's no strings attached to it. And I'm not a spammer. I can't even keep up with the things I have to do. So nobody's getting spammed. You get that one email that you're looking for. And if I happen to pop a video out or, I'm up to something, I'll post it and send it, but I haven't even done that. But I will say I am teaching a course, and I would love for people to hear about that, because I'm the only one in this whole entire country, to my knowledge, that does what I do to the extreme level that I do it. And it's perfect for people in the holistic field that want to enhance what they're doing and really get results for their clients. And, the reason that I'm kind of gearing it that way, anyone can take it. But I worked for an acupuncturist, and what I saw in his thriving practice is that people would come back week after week, which was good for him. He was busy, but they never got better. He wasn't getting text messages like I get, where, you're getting all of these results from them. They basically got band-aided from week to week to week. And when I went to him and I said, out of respect for you, I don't say anything. It's your practice, and I understand that. But they are missing things that I can help with. And I would love to be able to talk to these patients. And his response to me, he's retired now, but his response to me was, thank you for your silence. And that just doesn't need to be like that. Every acupuncturist out there should be doing what I do to the extreme and actually getting their clients well. There's plenty of people in the world. Nobody's ever going to starve, even as a naturopathic doctor or an acupuncturist or a chiropractor. No, nobody's ever going to starve. And maybe if we had more people healing from those modalities, using and incorporating what I do, then less and less would be, going the medical route, getting prescription drugs. And by the way, you mentioned pain. There are natural things that reduce pain. So, if somebody's in a lot of pain, there's things that I give my clients that reduce that pain naturally. And what's it coming from? Is it a bone or joint issue? Are you bone on bone because you don't have cartilage? That's regrowable. You don't need to go to Thailand to get somebody's stem cells either. You do it right in the comfort of your own home through nutrients. And I told you I was very athletic. I'm very hard on this bone, all these bones going on in this body. And so every day I'm taking things to make sure that my cartilage, my bones, joints, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, all are very strong. I hear women all the time, and men too, as they get older, I can't hold, my urine. I'm incontinent. That's because those things, it's the same as if a knee cartilage is breaking down. It's the same, inner system that's holding all of that together, holding the bladder together. Nobody needs to be wearing these adult diapers. They just need to put the body back together and have that strength. Everybody should be in the gym at 90, still lifting weights. We're meant to be healthy until, the average age of dying should be around 125. So if you're in your 70s and you're already curling up thinking, well, I lived a good life, I'm on my way, it's probably within the next 10 years, I'm on the other half. No, you really should have another 50 years.
You said something there I think is really important, is a lot about how our thinking affects our health.
Yes.
And there's science about that. How do people suddenly have a very severe condition? And science shows this, that is how we think about our health affects all the way down the cellular level, the neurochemistry.
Yes.
So that same person has a negative disposition about their health concerns, and then suddenly they change their disposition to a positive. They can see the neurochemistry changing to positives. So the cells and the way they're designed to do trigger what they're supposed to trigger for healing. So what's your thought about when you're dealing with the patients? Do you help them better understand where they're at in a positive or a negative state in their thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. It's in fact, when I get, let's say, somebody that has a cancer, one of the first things I ask them is, do you want to live? Because it might be a family member who brought them, and the family member's trying to get them to live, but maybe they're ready to, just be done. And in that case, then I have to let them go. It's not my job to fight them. But if they tell me, yes, I want to live, then I fight like hell with them. And I treat them all as if they're my own. And by the time we've gotten off that phone call, they have more hope than they've probably had in the last 40, 30, whatever years of life. That's just the way our conversations go. I'm very much into people being positive through the process of the healing. And the first month is always rough. I don't care if it's a tiny thing or a gigantic thing. The first month is always rough because you're getting used to your routine, etc. But mindset is a huge part of it. It's what you're putting out there, what you're speaking. Your cells hear it. And I don't think anybody could ever pretend to say that they 1000% understand all of that. But, there is a Dr. Emoto, and I'm positive I have the book. Maybe you have it too. Oh, here it is. The Hidden Messages of Water. It's one of my favorite books. I buy this as a gift for so many people. Have you ever heard of this one?
No, I haven't. But what's the name of it?
Number one, get this book, The Hidden Messages of Water. So in this book, there was 50 Petri dishes, and they actually spoke hateful things over some of the Petri dishes and positive things over the other half of the Petri dishes, then played gospel music versus rock music, you name it. So on the ones where the positive was spoken, everything turned out to be like a super beautiful white, just one of a kind. They flash froze it, and so they turned into crystals. And then the ones that were spoken, ugly over. Okay, let me find them. Look at the color difference. See the yellow? This is just one yellow. Some of them were brown. Look at the top one there, actually. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Okay. So it doesn't even have any shape to it. There's nothing. Look at the difference right here. This is such a perfect example. One spoken good to, one spoken bad to, or bad music, whatever. One has shape and it's beautiful, and the other one's just kind of like a blob. And so this was an actual experiment with 50 petri dishes. They flash froze them, and this is the absolute what happened. So how does this correlate to us? Well, we're mostly made up of water. It was one of the first things you said to me. And every cell in our body is water. And so what are you speaking to that water? What environment is around that water? If it's all the negative news, I don't even own a TV because I don't want that going into my head all the time. Yeah, I'm such a positive person. That's what I want in my life. And so that's that book. I have bought like 20, 30 different copies, and I give it away as gifts to everybody, and like the family and my sons, everybody has it because, I want everybody to understand the power of what you have around you and the sounds that are going in. Every cell in your body is hearing it. So if you're sitting there and absorbed in all that negative news, or you've got bad people in your life, or you are down and depressed, then you want to get the sustenance to turn that around. I have people that come to me that are super suicidal. I've had family members come to me and say, please, my son, he's like ready to check out. And I say, okay, this is what we do. And I do an analysis. So I see all the organs that are out that all need help. So we help all the organs. And there's very specific ones that the body has to have that I know the body is completely empty of if somebody feels like that. And I'm talking any kind of psychological, if they're psychotic in any way, there's certain things that the body needs. And so we get that to them. And then I tell them, get them out of the city, go get in the car, go to the mountains, go to the river, go away from it all, and just surround them with peace and tranquility and get out of all that negativity. Play some beautiful music on the ride, even if it's just musical, no words, that kind of thing. So
I just put this up here. Sandy Archer.
Yes.
She saw you on Ken Walls.
Okay.
And if you could read that, thank you. I'm not sure what to do. I'm going to make an appointment with you. So Sandy Archer will be reaching out to you. So
right. Yeah, you've got the link and the phone number there. So reach out. Before I came on here, I saw I needed to catch up on some things. So if I don't get to you today, Sandy, for sure I'll call you by tomorrow. But definitely call or go ahead and just schedule yourself in. Don't schedule today, though, if it does allow you. Don't, because I'm out of the office most of the rest of the day. Yeah.
You said something, another reason you intrigued me about is I haven't had a television hooked up in the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is that negativity wearing on you? It's much. I use a principle called gratitude, changing that energy level. It changes everything, how we look at things. Even if I'm not feeling well, there's this state of gratitude I go to because I'm still have another opportunity to live my life to its fullest. So gratitude is a very powerful energy. Not filling your mind up with any negative stuff is so important for our health. That keeps us at a high level of anxiety, which creates stress, and stress creates oxidative. We've heard of the word oxidative stress in our system.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the number one cause of chronic illness. So everything that we do, what we take in nutritionally wise, as well as the environment, the news, the exterior chatter in the world, what we fill our brains with definitely affects our health as well. So I really appreciate what you said about not having a television or watching all that negative stuff. we need to be informed in all areas of our life, but we don't need to be absorbed with it every second of the day. And unfortunately, we have a lot of negative stuff going on out there. So I encourage people to try turning that TV off for a week and see what happens, see how they feel. Once there's a withdrawal, I call it, that habit of having something in the background, or that habit of watching a particular program every night or whatever the case may be. And breaking away from that is a struggle. But when you get used to not having it, just start evaluating how your life works, the energetic levels that you have. So I encourage, that's part of a protocol. I'm sure you talked about, what do you fill in your brain with daily? So
exactly. Yeah. Get rid of all toxins. And that includes, what you're hearing, what you're surrounded by. If you're in a bad environment, do your best to get out of it. Even if it just is as simple, if you can't move out of a house of bad people, then just take as many walks as you can, go to the park, eat good food and get some supplementation. And I'm great with supplements. So, I know those by the back of my hand. So, if people want to go that route, then I'm here. So I live, eat, and breathe what I do because I love what I do. I don't call it work. Sometimes I might say, hey, I have to work today, but that doesn't mean what I do is work. What I do is so gratifying because, like you said it. This is sticking in my head that you said it takes, 8-9 years to know. And for me, it takes seconds. So I want to teach other people how to do this and how to do what I do so that they can take it further. I can't handle the world by myself. I can't do this by myself.
No.
The website for that is thebodycan.com/take. And then I think the rest fills in, take the course. So it's in one of the drop downs. People can find it. And it's April 15th when I'm starting that class. And it's going to be fantastic, like barnstormer. Everybody thinks these interviews are so interesting, but the class is going to be next level. So
wonderful. Well, I'll make sure people are aware of it and get that out there about your classes. Is all there at the website. So Sandy's made a comment. My ghost gallbladder still gives me issue even after it's gone.
Yeah. Yep. You were supposed to have something for the rest of your life every day, and you're probably not getting it. And that's why. So. Yeah.
I've got somebody I know that's had an amputation and they still have syndromes, pain syndromes, even though the foot's gone. It's amazing how that works, huh?
Yep. Well, I've heard stories about transplant people. The story, and it was a true story. This little girl, okay, it doesn't start out well, but this little girl was murdered by a man. She saw her murderer. They found her body pretty closely after she was murdered, and they were able to retrieve the eyes. The eyes went into another little girl, and that little girl was having nightmares over and over and over, and she was getting attacked in the nightmares. She actually, with those eyes, in one of the dreams or nightmares that she was having, she actually described them. The parents finally took her. They did a little diligence of like, okay, our daughter got these eyes from somebody who died. How did that person die? They did the diligence. Then they went to the police and said, our daughter thinks that she can describe the murderer. So that that ghost gallbladder, that ghost foot does not surprise me, because the eyes going into another person still have that memory, just like your cells. They have that memory where they can, they can flash freeze water and it can create an ugly brown blob, whereas other ones create something beautiful. So that girl was able to describe a man, and they were able to catch that killer. The DNA matched when they went. So, that phantom foot, that phantom gallbladder does not surprise me, because there's stories out there like that are real and legitimate.
Yeah, the things that we don't know, how this universe works, how everything is energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just transforms itself one way or the other. So we can have a whole different conversation about that as well. So
yeah,
I really appreciate you today coming on. We had a little bit of difficulty get on time today, and it ultimately was because I'm not as focused as I should be. I didn't realize my speaker was off. That's why I couldn't hear you on the other platform. So it all worked out. So it's been an honor and a pleasure to introduce you to my world, and we're out there. We just want everybody to tag and share this information, because if we get this information out and make the difference in one person's life, we're living our purpose. So I appreciate what you're doing, your uniqueness, and got to fight the challenge of the powers that are out there that want to keep our messages quiet. I encourage anybody out there, if you don't believe why modalities and treatments are not being endorsed or pushed out there, is there's powers bigger than we that are protecting their own interest, both politically, economically, because we become threats out there. Because if we can provide, a friend of mine is a doctor, and she said to her husband, which is also a doctor, they were driving to their clinic or to the hospital where they were assigned to work, and she looked into the parking lot, told her husband, says, "We as doctors, we're failing." And he says, "What do you mean we're failing?" He says, she said to him, "Look at all the cars. If we were doing our job, there wouldn't be cars in the parking lot going into these facilities.
It's true.
They'd be empty." So, and a lot of practitioners, they're worried about if the patient does get cured or healed themselves, they look at it as a loss. So they want to keep people in that cycle of revenue. So I encourage anybody out there, and doctor, I'd encourage you to get this, because it really spells out what's been placed in front of us as people that care about health. Even though I'm not a practitioner, I like to share good information that has made a difference in my life, and then share it out with other people. And it's okay to be skeptical. I always say it's okay to be skeptical, because that causes you to investigate. Mm-hmm. And when you investigate, you'll find the truth. But when you're cynical, nothing happens. So it's okay to be skeptical, be inquisitive, check out other alternatives, such as Dr. Shannon here, and just want to endorse what you're doing. Love your energy. What you're saying is that naturally, that is the approach we need to take in our health. Our body's been capable of taking care of itself and repairing itself since the beginning of our existence, so as human species. So with that all said, I appreciate you. I'm going to put you in the back room. Don't go anywhere, because I want to get some information from you. Okay. Anything in closing you like to say to the audience?
Just, what I do is healthcare as opposed to disease care, which is the huge difference between a naturopathic doctor and a medical doctor. ND or MD, you have to decide, but I say go with the actual healthcare. Excuse me. Go with the healthcare.
A friend of mine is a doctor. I have several. Being in the arena, I've been around for years, so I have run paths with some very significant people. He's an anesthesiologist, retired now, but we were talking about what we were talking about today is the three entities that are sleeping in bed together: the institutional medical system, the pharmaceutical, and the schools in the insurance industry, how they all collaborate together to protect their entity. Mm-hmm. And he told me this is MD stands for medical deity. Many doctors are in that arena think they have all the answers, but they don't. They're not gods.
That's right.
So his challenge is what he did is what you're doing. Let's bring a new definition of what health care should look like and be. So that's a challenge that we'll all face for a long time, but it's through people like yourself sharing the good news out there makes a big difference. If we just improve one person's situation, the word changes. It travels organically. So with that all said, I appreciate you being here, doctor. So
thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone who was listening, and please tag it and get it out there and share it with everyone. Let's change lives.
All right. Thank you. There you go. Own your own health. There's another example of a different approach to looking at your health. And we encourage you to reach out to Dr. Shannon. Her website's there. She has a course coming up next month. They'll encourage you to at least investigate that, see if it's right for you. So with that all said, own your own health. Take the time, ask questions, look at alternatives. Our bodies, given the right resources, can definitely do some what traditional medicine calls miracles if given the right resources, the right approach. So take ownership of your own health. With that all said, I'm going to close out with my corporate sponsor.